So I mentioned before that there was another ad a while back, and I'm seeing now it's from 2008, and it's almost the same. Like, surprisingly similar. It's an LG ad, an ad for the Renoir phone. Check it out.
With an 8-megapixel camera for outstanding quality photos, a full 3-inch touchscreen for easy interaction, and Wi-Fi connectivity. Introducing the LG Renoir, the new 8-megapixel camera phone, enhanced with Dolby Mobile for music and 8 gigabytes of memory.
So, two things. First, as you might expect, this ad did not generate backlash in a similar way, nothing comparable, for many reasons. We'll think about them. But it is very interesting to notice the difference between the second ad, the Apple Crush, and this fourth ad that we're seeing today, which is the Renoir ad. And the differences summarize some of the points we were discussing about brands, about positioning, about values. Notice the difference in the ads. One of them has too much talking, too many words, right? The LG one. The Apple one just has this sentence in the end. The other parts are just songs and music, right? Too much talking in one. Only one of these two ads mentions the specs of the phone, right? And it's just the same in 1984, in the 1984 ad. Apple doesn't seem compelled to tell you about the technical specs of its products, while LG has to, and it does. Okay, so specs are mentioned in one. There is one that is obviously more artistic. You could say it's the time difference, and that's fine. But the Apple ad just has this only one sentence. Doesn't need to say much. So reflecting on these two ads, why one of them causes backlash and not the other? We think again about this definition of the self. The anger in the first ad is because so many people define themselves or rely, at least partly, in their self-definition on Apple. And this is the thing I want to discuss here. Many people in our times, where the market is this dominant force, define themselves through artifacts that are acquired in the market, right? This can be an Apple product because the symbolic value of this particular product is very high, and so it's easy to define ourselves by products that have higher symbolic value. And so the values of the brand, the image that the brand sends, is an image that we would like to send to society about ourselves. And so Apple is more closely associated with people's identity, and this is why they can get more emotional in dealing with things related to that. And the example I give in class sometimes is, imagine two people with a certain type of mobile phone. One of them bought this phone for its symbolic value because he thinks it reflects his own values, and the other just bought the phone because it had these specs or because it had this price point, right? And you go to them and you tell them what a horrible, crappy phone this is. Right? Imagine the reaction in both cases. In one of the cases, the reaction will be very aggressive, very strong, because when you tell them that this phone is useless, you are attacking them personally. In the second case, it's not. He might tell you, yeah, I just bought it for so and so because of etc. Right? And so this is a very interesting difference. We can take this a little bit further and ask, well, who are we? Who are we as individuals? And increasingly, more and more people define themselves by these mass products, right? But it gets a little bit more interesting than that. It gets a little bit more sophisticated. Is that we define ourselves by a plurality, a big collection of products and memes. So one of these products or one of these memes is a mass distributed item in society, in the market, etc. But we create our own collections. So who am I? I am the iPhone and this PC and that car and this style of clothing and this style of online representation on social media. This is how my voice appears, and so on. And most of these things are memes, are things that are present in society in large volume. Some of them are mass. There is nothing unique about one of them, right? You define yourself through the iPad Pro, but millions of people have it, right? But you define yourself through the iPad Pro and this car and that brand of sunglasses and so on. And the self in this case becomes a manipulator of this plurality, right? A curator. It's an aggregator. Also, you can think about it. So I define myself through these bits and pieces that I've gathered here and there, and many of them are commercially mass distributed products. And there is a very interesting irony here, right? Because our self is the most individualistic thing we own, and this is the message in the 1984 ad. Remember the contrast between we are one and this girl who destroys the screen. But it's not very individualistic of you to define yourself based on products that are owned by millions of people, right? And so this creates this very interesting, beautiful, to behold irony. A final point here on identities, on the identities part, is the sensitivity of the creative professional. And this, as I said, it gets more energy from the historical moment in which we live. So creative professionals are very sensitive to this trend, this social, economic, and cultural phenomenon in which machines are starting to take creative roles. I know it's still too early, but you see it online all the time. Can AI replace some of these creative professions? But my argument here, and there is a huge discussion that's always ongoing, like AI is stealing our work and so on. But any work of art has a degree of stealing in it. Picasso says that it is often a statement by many artists. There's a famous director that said it as well. So art as a process is manipulation of symbols that have been created by others. And so any artist has to be using symbols that have been created by others. And this is what AI is doing. But there are two directions for creative professionals at this point in time. They can either fight, insist on authenticity, or they can ride the wave and join the trend and start integrating the power of AI, the power of these digital technologies deeper into the creative process, not just to the shallow parts of the creative process, but deeper into the creative process. Interestingly, I don't see one of them winning. I think that both these directions can have a future.